Today, we've made a significant inroad into our plan to leave the UK. And it might be a bit of a longer video, this one, to try and explain the background to this and why this has been so difficult. So to start this, I'm sat in an Airbnb at Whitehaven, which is about 30 miles from where we live. I'm sat on an IKEA sofa, and in front of me is an IKEA table and some IKEA chairs and an IKEA plastic plant you can see on the wall there. I have an IKEA plastic lemon tree in the corner. Basically, I'm in an Airbnb that has crashed into IKEA. It's a very sort of strange house, but the reason we booked it is because it was a 5-minute walk to the hospital. And this leads me on to what we've solved today. Now, my eldest daughter, called Jasmine, she is neurodivergent. She's got ADHD and PDA, and she's probably autistic in some way as well, a bit like me. And we had a huge problem with a dentist, an NHS dentist. And what happened was, she had a little hole in one of her big molars at the back. And she went to the dentist, and the dentist said, "Does this hurt?" Poke! And poked the measuring tool they use into there, and she winced. And he said, "Oh, we're going to have to fill that." And unfortunately, she then never ever opened her mouth to that dentist again. We went in 3 times, to the point where she actually fell on the floor in the waiting room in hysteria. And I had to sort of lift her up and take her in. And no, we tried and we tried. We tried everything to try and get this sorted out. So in the time it took for this problem to come about, another hole appeared in one of her other molars at the back. Now, we had several dentists have a look, and they said, "Oh, it's not caused by bad hygiene, or it's actually faults in the teeth." So the worst bit is it wasn't even her fault. All of her baby teeth are perfect. She's never had an issue or a hole in a baby tooth. But these 2 particular molars, unfortunately, had faults in. And then they developed really, really quickly into very big cavities. So we even went private. We went to a private dentist, spent a lot of money, about £1,000. And we actually got to the point where the dentist there was fantastic. They were calm. They were trying to help her with her anxiety. And we actually got to the point where we actually got some anaesthetic into her mouth. And the next thing was to test to see if that had worked. And then it was to pull the tooth out. She saw the tool. No. And that basically means she would then never ever open her mouth to that dentist again, even though she was brilliant. So we lost all that money basically. And during this time, we'd been on a waiting list for her to have a general anaesthetic, get properly knocked out, and it to be done in hospital. And God, the time it's taken, and the time on the phone to the NHS. It's been 2 years. It's taken 2 years from being on that list to today. It's too long. It's too long for people that are having problems with their teeth, that are really anxious. It's just, I really feel for people that have a problem, and normal services don't help them. So today has been that day, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified that the NHS would cancel. Something would happen, and then it'd all be wasted. The money we spent on the Airbnb would be wasted. But it's been overall a fantastic day. So I'll tell you quickly what happened. We went into the hospital. It's really hot in there as normally, so we went onto the children's ward where they do this. They only do this once every 2 weeks, I think. They have a dental they have a day where people that need dentistry done going on that day. So this is why the list is so long. And a little tip here. Our local hospital is Carlisle. but we've come to Whitehaven because when we got halfway through the list, with phoning up constantly about this, we were then told that, oh yeah, if you go to Whitehaven, the list's a lot shorter. Why didn't they say that a year ago? So the problem with this service is the start of it. It's a nightmare. You cannot talk to anybody. The private dentists that you get sent to for x-rays don't talk to the NHS. And just nobody talks to each other, so you end up ringing around. The only reason we have got through and got this appointment within 2 years is because we ended up finding a number for some kind of dentist thing that staff use, because there isn't a phone number for dentistry on the West Coast. So we ended up accidentally ringing a staff phone number. We got through. And then we actually sorted it out through using that phone number, actually got in contact with someone over here. Because if you go to your normal dentist, they just don't sort it out. It just never gets sorted out, and you just kept on this list and keep getting fobbed off. So we've actually pushed. We've spent a lot of money on phone calls. We must have spent weeks on the phone organising this ourselves to get it done within 2 years. That's how bad the service is. That side of the service is. Really, really frustrating when you think, yeah, we're going to be leaving the UK. We need to get this sorted before we go because they're really bad. So, what was the actual service like? Well, the service in Whitehaven is absolutely perfect. It's spot on. I would say if you have a problem and you live in the north, go to Whitehaven. It's a fairly new hospital. It's got a load of new wings. They're not busy at all. They have staff were brilliant with kids. I can't fault anybody in there. For an NHS service, it was faultless. But this isn't the case in all hospitals. If we went to Carlisle, for example, that hospital is on the list of hospitals that is not good. And my first daughter, Jasmine, who we're talking about here, she was born in Carlisle. And it's just overrun, that hospital. It's not big enough. There's too many people. Staff are rushing about. Nobody's got any time to do anything other than the basic minimum. That's why that hospital is on that list. It's not good. And yet you come 30 miles over to Whitehaven and it's clean. The staff are better. There's loads of time. It's just quieter. It's a much, much nicer experience. So the NHS is not like, the NHS is bad, oh, it's terrible. It's not. You go to the right hospital in the right area, you'll get fantastic service, but not all over. And unfortunately, there's more bad than there is good. But we've found a hospital that's fantastic. My second daughter, who's now 5, Sage, she was actually born at Whitehaven during COVID. And I spent a lot of time driving home over to Whitehaven and back again. And again, the service at Whitehaven was bang on. And the reason we got sent to Whitehaven and found this out was because it was unsafe, apparently. And I quote, "It's unsafe to go to Carlisle. Your waters were broken, you need to go to hospital, but it's unsafe to go to Carlisle because it's too busy." That's how busy they are. So we ended up going to Whitehaven for a fantastic experience. So we were not worried about going to this hospital this time. So anyway, we went in there for 8 o'clock. We were seen at like 11:15. Staff were brilliant to her. Jasmine, she was really, really anxious. She, any kind of pokey devices or anything like that, she really struggles with. But it was fine. In the end, she accepted it. She took the needle in the back of the hand after having some numbing cream. We distracted her, and then they put the general anaesthetic in, and she literally fell asleep immediately, like 5 seconds after it. Then we put her down, then we were taken out. And then within half an hour, the teeth were out. Then we were taken to see her. She just woken up. My wife was quite emotional. I was a little bit as well, because it's terrifying watching your daughter get put to sleep, to lying there still. It's awful. It's a horrible, horrible experience. And for anybody with kids, you'll understand what that feels like. It's not a good place that your head goes when something like this is going on. But we knew it needed to be done. There was no other option left after exhausting everything in the UK. In fact, I even found somebody. I rang them up, and it was a woman on the phone, and I said, "This is what we need done. Do you do it? General anaesthetic for children privately." She said yes. It'll be £8,000 per tooth. Jesus Christ. And the reason is because they actually have to hire a hospital room out to do it. They hire a hospital room out to do it because, it's not safe to do that otherwise, which is fine. So at that point, I thought our only option is to get on this list and get sorted. And then I was panicking that we wouldn't get it done before we left. So for those people that say, "Oh no, but you're using the NHS and you're going to run away from the UK." Yeah, I can use it because I've paid into the NHS with my national insurance for all of my life. And so is my wife. And we've hardly ever used the service. So yes, we're quite within our rights to do that. And yes, the service, I can recommend the service if you go to Whitehaven. It was fantastic. It's just the process getting to that point is so long term. In fact, if it had been done really quickly, if it had been done straight away, we wouldn't be removing 2 teeth. These teeth deteriorated within 2 years. So had it been done straight away, we wouldn't be at this point. It wouldn't have been a problem. So with the NHS, it's a time problem with waiting, with lists and things more than anything. So I'm really super, super relieved. She's now asleep. She's not really in any pain, strangely. Pain doesn't really seem to affect her that much. She's taken it really, really well. She's happy. We're both massively relieved because she's well. This hurdle was the one I was most worried about. So here we go. Here's what's been taken out, and I'll show you the state of these teeth, what happened within 2 years of waiting for this to happen. So this is one of the teeth here. Will it focus on it? This is one of the teeth here, and the whole top. Oh no, that's got a really big hole in it. There you go. So that's one of them, and the other one is terrible. The whole top's come off this one. So here we go. The whole top is missing. Will it focus on it? There we go. The whole top of that tooth is missing. It's a mess. So 2 big teeth. 2 big adult teeth have come out. And they give you a little tooth fairy bag. So that's nice, isn't it? And one of the things that shows how home education really bonds families together. We struggled to get my 5-year-old Sage and my 9-year-old Jasmine to separate in order for us to come over here. My 5-year-old went to my mum's for 2 nights, but we had to physically pull them apart because they've been together for that much, all the time, and they love each other. And what happened when Jasmine was coming to in the bed, before we even got to her, the hospital were fantastic. They give them some stickers, and they give them a bear each for being so brave, which is just lovely. It's a lovely gesture. And what Jasmine had done, the first thing she'd asked when she's woken up was, "Can I have a bear for my sister, as well as a bear for me, and a sticker?" And they said yes. And I was just, I was thinking, we must be parenting right, because she loves her sister that much. She's in all that pain and going through all this anxiety and this pressure, and she asked her sister for something for her sister while she's still sort of half cut. She was just, she couldn't even sit up. Isn't that nice? That shows the bond that they've got between the two, and I think that's fantastic. I really do. I mean, they fight and squabble like any kids, but when it comes down to it, they're completely inseparable. So, like I said, we're hugely relieved about this. This is just a massive weight off my mind. So the next thing is the house sale, and that it's trying to be pushed through before Christmas, but it's really looking like we haven't physically got the time to sort all the other stuff out before we leave. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. That remains to be seen. So back to this Airbnb. Would I recommend this Airbnb? If I was going to the hospital, yes, I would, because it's so close. You can walk. It's fantastic. Brilliant. But I know what's happened to this house. Whoever it is has bought this house to rent out. They've bought it cheaply and they've renovated the inside. And they've had quotes to do the kitchen and quotes to do the bathroom. And someone else has come around and says, mate, I can do that for half the price. And he's went, all right, bang on. Yeah, we'll do that. That's what's happened. The kitchen is actually okay, but the bathroom, it's... I was sitting in the bath and I was just looking around. I can't sit in this bath for too long because I can see so many problems with it. It's just, the finish is appalling. It looks like nothing's cut square. There's silicone everywhere. None of the edges are finished. There's holes in the silicone around the sink. It's just, there's not really anything that's been done right in that bathroom, unfortunately, which means it's not going to last. It's the radiators, the plumbing's all been repiped. And again, it's somebody that can do it cheap for you, because the pipes are running straight from the floor in front of the skirting boards, and they're little plastic pipes, so someone's going to hit them, smash them with a hoover and cause a leak. You know, it's these little details that you pay for with a quality contractor, and unfortunately this just doesn't have it. And I think it's been done fairly recently, because there's hardly anything in the kitchen. You know, it's literally got 4 plates, 4 bowls, a little bit of cutlery, 2 pans, 1 pan, you know, like an oven thing for the oven. There's virtually nothing here. So it's just, it's livable, really super basic. But if you wanted to cook more than 2 things in the oven, you'd struggle. The fridge freezer's in the living room, behind the door, so every time you have to come out the kitchen, close the door to the living room, open the fridge, and then do vice versa. It's quite amusing, really. So it's not a bad house. It's 1920s, 1930s house, really solidly built, but unfortunately it's been bought and the inside's been bodged to make it into an Airbnb. And we paid, I think it was £100 a night for this. And to be honest, the finish isn't what I would expect for that sort of money. It's too poor. It really is. You know, it's just got one seriously uncomfortable IKEA sofa. It just isn't up to scratch really for a good Airbnb, unless you literally, like us, need it for the hospital, and it's done that perfectly fine. So that's not really an issue. But it's just, as an ex-handyman and somebody that does all the stuff themselves, this house makes my head hurt. I look at things, So, yeah, Airbnb did the job we wanted to do, but if you were here on holiday, I wouldn't recommend it. Hospital in Whitehaven, bang on. And our stress levels are now significantly reduced, because I was at the stage where I was like, I'm not sure this is ever going to happen. And my daughter actually said, Jasmine, she said, I'm really proud because I didn't think I could do this. And I think we're all slightly worried at one point that she might not. And I'm really proud of her for doing it. I really am proud of her. And she's proud of herself. Now she's learned that if she needs something like this done again, that it's not anything to be scared of. She's beaten that now. And, you know, that she's stronger for that now. I'm really pleased with her. So there we go. One big hurdle is now ticked off.